Welcome everyone, good to see you. And today's topic is, we have been doing mindfulness meditation, yeah? And recently, while doing a lot of research, I came across this study done on Vedantic twist to the mindfulness meditation. Sadly and strangely, till today, the mindfulness meditation started off from Buddha, that is Vipassana and all that. Many of you have done it. I know 1, 2, correct? But when you're going ahead with the Vedantic twist, it brings in a different kind of a light into the whole thing, and it is so exciting. And you notice, many of us who have been doing Vipassana, and it is very popular and it's very nice. And with the Vedantic twist, when I'm bringing it in, it does not mean that the one with the Vedantic twist is better, okay? Because all spiritual practices, as we have been doing it, all are correct, all go down to the same ocean, but the Vedantic twist, when it comes in, you find a different kind of an understanding. So I have almost 48 slides, so it is going to take a little time. Be patient, be with it, and I'll try and cover up as much as I can today itself. It's very, very interesting to understand the differences and to understand the similarities. Firstly, the whole process is a wonderful process, and it is towards aligning ourselves towards the spiritual awareness of who we truly are. So, we start off with what the Vedantic mindfulness does. It overlaps the Vipassana in addition to that, which strangely till today nobody has ever thought of it. And this research, which is done by Oyen Maharaj, he is one of the youngest monk. You'll be surprised. He is a PhD from United States, born and brought up in US, with a Bengali family, and he became a monk at a very young age. And he continued to study. He has written several books and world famous today. He's really famous and very young. And everybody says, what made you become a monk? And especially the journalist. He said, why did you become a monk? And how was it? Was it pretty easy? What about your parent? And he's a sister. So the parent, sister, he smiles and he says, no, it was not easy. And they had sent me to the top Ivy schools and colleges and universities, and I did intense research. But right from the beginning, I could see that this world it's a parody, it's a joke. But can I make a better meaning out of this world? And this is what he did. And he travels around extensively. I will continue with the differs in a certain crucial concepts with the Buddhism mindfulness, and there are some great advantages. Okay, so now Vedanta should get a piece of action of this mindfulness meditation, because it has been there in Vedanta for 6,000 years plus, but nobody looked at it this way. I don't know, most of the Vedantists are doing mindfulness meditation, but they don't call it that name. What does mindfulness mean? Anybody? Mindful, what does it mean?
Beyond the mind.
Sorry?
Beyond the mind.
With your mind?
Beyond the mind.
Beyond your mind? Okay, pretty close. Very nice. What does it mean? Daisy? Think for a second. Anybody?
Whatever we are doing, we are aware of that. That means mindfulness.
If you look in the dictionary, what Mohanji has said, I'm delighted. He says we are aware of it. You know the meaning of it is consciousness, it is awareness. And see, what is the Vedanta? Vedanta is talking about mindfulness is what? Awareness and consciousness. And very good, keep it up. So this is the essence, that the Vedantists are practicing mindfulness without knowing that they are practicing mindfulness. Mindful is awareness, is consciousness. When your mind is full, mind and body is not you. You and I know now, being Vedantists, that we are the consciousness, we are the awareness, and we are far beyond the body and the mind. But we forget about it. And when we go ahead and practice any practices, any spiritual, including the Vipassana, we continue to hold on to our body and the mind. For example, in the Vipassana practices, two of you I know have attended. Anybody else has attended? You have attended also. Okay, very nice. So you will find a couple of things, and we'll touch upon it as we they will talk about rigid discipline of, let's say, no talking. Nobody's allowed to talk. Am I correct? You're not allowed to talk during that whole time. Whereas Vedanta is saying, hey, have fun. You're free. Why are you so rigid? Meaning, it's a stiffness, the rigidity. Like it reminds me of our ancient school education. You have to. This is one of the things which comes in. Second thing is talking about and going ahead and referring to each one of those parts where the foundational text of the Buddhism, let me give it to you first a little bit apart. I don't think this has been covered. Just tell me, Desvi, Vijay, if you all have come across. The foundational text of the Buddhist mindfulness is called Satipatthana Sutra, okay, which is in Pali language. Did you all hear this name? Good. Now, this Sati means Smriti. Sati means, in Pali language, it means being. Being is what? Consciousness, awareness. And mindful is, that Prathana, actually it means Prasthana. Prasthana in Sanskrit is Prathana in Pali, which means foundation. Okay? Now, these comes from the, what you call, Sutta means sutra, like all the sutras in Pali language is sutta. Sati means smriti, and Pattana means foundations or the pillar. This is the basic understanding of this. Now the first, the talking about Buddha is distinguishes himself in the full, in the foundation, in the four foundations. Okay? That is, the first is the mindfulness of the body. So those of you who have done it, it must have gone ahead with the become aware where you're sitting, to your body, and from there right up to the head, mindfulness of wherever, whatever is happening, become aware of it. And then goes to the next one. From this body, understanding is body is breath. Body is breath. And breath is the one thing which is always there with us. Whatever we do, as long as we are alive. Wherever you turn your nose, have you ever thought of it? Wherever you turn your nose, there is breath, there is air. It is never that we have to make special effort. But unfortunately, this power of the breath, which is not being utilized by the common person. Now, which is, in the Buddhist practices, the non-judgmental, totally without judging, criticizing, etc. to the people around. Now, one thing about being non-judgmental is being what? Is being neutral. It's neither this side nor this side. You be who you are here. What is happening all the time is what we are not really aware. And over here, when you are getting into this mindfulness with a Vedantist twist, mindfulness is also talking about it. Is what is your breath. It's happening all the time. Understand it. What is happening all the time? All the time happening is we are breathing. That's a physical action. But not to forget that all this time the breath is actually calming you. From the turbulent state, it's taking you to the calm state. And it is happening all the time. So what Lord Buddha has done, he brought this into the people. And what was his basic principle? There are suffering. Everybody suffers. 4 folds of suffering and 8 folds method of how not to suffer. This is what is the principal area in the Buddhism. So start with the breath. What we are talking about, those of you just walked in, we are talking about the mindfulness meditation with the Vedantist twist, the Vedantist angle of understanding it. And the beauty part of it, in just very brief, that this mindfulness is nothing as mindful meaning awareness, it means consciousness. And that's what we are talking in the Vedanta all the time. Become conscious, become aware. And that is what is the dictionary meaning of mindful. So, start with the breath. Become mindful of your body. And then right up to the head. The second is the mindfulness of the feelings of your sensations that you're going ahead, which you're having. Right, once again, up to your extremes of the feeling that you have. Alright? Now, whatever feelings come up in the mind, you just be mindful. Be mindful. This is, I'm touching upon, along with the mindful, the Vipassana, which is Buddhist, and talking about also the Vedantist angle. Now, extremely important in all these terms is whether it is Buddhist or it is Vedantist, that the key is being non-judgmental. Both. Stop judging. Have you noticed in the Vedantis we say, don't find fault with anyone. Find fault with yourself. Yes, so that you can rectify yourself. But don't say, it is because of you my life is spoiled. No. It is us. It is ourselves. So awareness is, this is the called the Sati Pratthana, which is the direct path to the realization as per the Buddhism. This is the direct path, right? And whatever is happening at the level of the body or the mind, just be aware. Just become conscious of it. Just be aware. Now, without judging yourself, retaining the attitude of being non-judgmental. Generally what happens? I'm disturbed. And can't you see I'm disturbed? I'm depressed. And the higher actions on that, either you go and bang the door and lock yourself, or you want to run away from there. You get the point? You're giving in, venting. When you're becoming non-judgmental, then it is in the Sati Pratthana. I must tell you, there is a book. This I had shared with you earlier on the mindfulness meditation. This is a very, very powerful book, and it is how the mind is to be illuminated. On that, he's talking about it. There is a book written by a German Buddhist monk. His name is, he's from the Theravada discipline of the Buddhism, and his name is Bhikshu Analaya. He's a German gentleman who has done an extensive research on this and who has brought out this particular book. He's written it. So now here, the detailed discussion from the standpoint of, secular practices is going ahead and talking about, explaining in detail. It's a very thick book. This is not by Analaya. It is by somebody else. And Analaya's one is in the process of coming. You all will be able to have a look. Now, what is Buddha saying? I'm going to quote about all of them, and just listen, relax, be peaceful. When Buddha is saying, when feeling is a pleasant feeling, just know, he is writing it like this, know that he knows. When the feeling is not a pleasant feeling, he knows that it's not a pleasant feeling. And now, who is this he? Please reflect upon it. When the feeling is unpleasant feeling, he knows, I feel an unpleasant feeling. I'm feeling an unpleasant feeling. When the feeling is neutral feeling, he knows, I feel neutral, I'm not disturbed, I'm peaceful. Now, notice, no judgment here, no freaking out, no fighting, and just reacting to this. Okay? Understand this. It's a very, very powerful concept that we are doing and it will come across. Just be aware of what is happening. Become aware. We'll do a little meditation at the end of it on this. Now, through this act of sheer awareness, non-judgmental awareness, you automatically take a step back from where you're feeling and you get some breathing space. You calm down automatically because you're taking a step back instead of reacting, instead of going forward. What is the forward? You start action immediately after that, right? So, you are not so closely identified with your feeling. You're aware, but you're not identifying yourself. And who are you? Who am I? Remember the journey. Who is this me? This me is Mano Buddhi Chitta Ahankar, Vedanta Shankaracharya sloka. Na aham, Chidananda Rupoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I'm not this mind, I'm not this intellect, I'm not the memory, I'm not the ego. So now you're stepping back with the help of Buddha's mindfulness. The third kind of mindfulness is the thoughts arise which are aware in your mind. The thoughts. Before that was, first was body, then the body was non-judgmental, then the feeling, and now it is the thoughts which is coming. Buddha is saying, these are all translated from the Pali, from the original language, okay, in English. Here he knows, lustful mind to be lustful, and a mind without lust to be without lust. He knows. He knows that an angry mind when he is angry, he knows. And a mind without anger to be without anger. I am referring to it instead of doing extempore talk so that we are accurate with this, because we are referring to some great author and a great Lord Buddha. Did you all know that when Buddha died, before dying, his right arm was Anand, and he told Anand that I'm going to leave my body now. Anand was so upset. He went on to the shrine and he didn't want to be with Buddha. He was so upset. Buddha sent for him and he said, Anand, come. And he said, please sit down here. So he was very sad, very down. He said, you too think that I am this body? I am this mind? Vinay, this is the message that Buddha is talking about. You're not your mind, you're not your body, you're something else. Notice the touch upon with the Vedantist thinking. But Vedanta is 6,000 years plus, and Shankaracharya is about 800 years after Buddha. Buddha is 2,500, Shankaracharya is 1,500 years. Right? Shankaracharya has brought Vedanta, back into the mankind, into the humanity. And Vivekananda took it across to the Western world in 1893, 11 September. And I have shared with you all that American Veda, which is Philip Goldberg. You've seen that book with me. And he's also written about Paramahansa Yogananda. And you'll be amazed to hear that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about mindfulness meditation. And nobody else really labeled it. And this is what Ayan Maharaj is saying, that look, you must give at least one little bit of action to Bhagavad Gita also. It has been there for thousands of years. Now, Buddha is saying, a mind without anger is to be that I am without anger. He knows that a deluded mind is deluded. Delusion. He says he knows that without delusion, that I am without delusion. This is exact statement by Buddha. He's preaching. And he's saying he knows that a concentrated mind to be concentrated, and he knows that a mind which is not concentrated is not concentrated. He knows that the mind is fickle. All you're doing is just recognizing, just knowing. Recognition is not understanding. Recognition is knowing, becoming aware. And non-judgmental awareness, what you're talking about, is whatever comes up in the mind. And the moment you do that, you're going to be a little distant. The moment you become aware of the thought, what you're doing is, you are the Chaitanya consciousness. You are not the mind or the body. The moment you become aware, you're distancing yourself from your thought. In other words, in the Vedantic language, give me a term. You all have been very advanced Vedantists. What are you becoming?
Water.
Sorry?
Water.
No, you're becoming drashta. You're seer. You're witnessing what? Your own thought. Are you with me? You are, and you are being mindful now. You're seeing it. You're becoming a witness. You're the seer, and you're witnessing. Now let's take a quick example. Notice Mahabharata. Krishna was the greatest of the warrior, and he killed almost everybody, like whoever was the demon at that time, and he defeated everyone. And now, when the Pandavas and the Kauravas, 5 brothers with 100 brothers, and the war, eventually war had to happen. But notice, Krishna said, what did he say? How did he participate? He became what? He became a witness. So Krishna is who? Krishna is consciousness. Just like Rama is consciousness. So Krishna became a witness to the whole world. And just think, in this, and this Krishna is the witness, is the who you and I are. And this is what is the message of that now joining up together, bringing our understanding to a better. And the moment you are going a little distance from your thought, you're separating yourself and aligning yourself with what? Who you really are. Now the fourth kind of mindfulness is the mindfulness of the 5 hindrances. There are 5 blocks, you can call it hindrances. And in the Pancha Nivarana, which is talking about mindfulness of Dhamma. Dhamma is Dharma, which is Buddha is calling it in Pali language, Dhamma. He's talking about these 5 hindrances are, which is Buddha is talking about. The first is sensual desire, kama, which is a hindrance. Desire, craving. Second is aversion. I like it, I don't like it, I hate it, is the aversion. The third is sloth or torpor, is meaning lethargic. I don't feel like doing it today. it's raining outside. I feel like I am very hungry. This is going on to the third. The fourth is worry. And the fifth is doubt. So, going over these just for the 5 hindrances what in Buddhism, according to the Buddhists, okay. First is the sensual desires, kama. They call it chandam, right? Second is aversion. Third is sloth and torpor. Fourth is worry. And hindrance to what? To the spiritual progress. These are the hindrances. And the fifth one is doubt. Have you noticed we try to compare ourselves in our spiritual progress? He is going faster. She is much better. I am not progressing. Somebody went down to Holy Mother Sharada, Vivekananda's Guru, and said, Mother, for 30 years I am practicing, but nothing is happening. I am not progressing at all. I have done japa, lakhs of japas. I am doing meditation every day. I follow all the path that you have talked about. So the Holy Mother said, when did God tell you that you are going in for a shopping just because you've gone for spiritual? Is there a contract with God? You just keep doing. And depending on yours and my past karma, prarabdha karma, it would depend when are we going to attain that status. So he says, this is a mistake. Don't get into that. Trying to judge and compare. Buddha is saying, if sensational desire is present, he knows that there is a sensual desire in me. Now what is happening, notice how Buddha is leading us. It's just saying, become aware that this is what is happening in your mind. If you're aware of that, it is now look at it. We are looking at it with intellectually trying to analyze the data, but along with the intellectualism, you have to have your feelings with it. Feeling meaning awareness, meaning understanding. That understanding is an intellectual process. Awareness is not intellectual, right? Like, I know this is what is my age, this is what I am, this is what is name, this is what is my form. These are all understanding. How? Somebody has fed it to you right from childhood. You are so and so. So that's an understanding. But awareness, let's say, supposing somebody asks you, did you attend the Sunday session with Dr. Ghosh? You say yes. They ask you, how do you know that? Will you say, check with my wife, I was there? Will you say, no, you check, I've done the eye scanner? No, you just know it. You just know it that you are there. Are you with me? So that knowingness is the awareness. It is not understanding. Understanding is based on data. It's a brain process. Okay? And here it is. Now, this analytical component which we are talking about. So, on the one hand, you are being non-judgmental, non-reactive awareness of whatever hindrances has come up in the mind. You are being aware. The moment you're being aware, your awareness is distancing yourself, that is yourself, from your mind and from your body, which we think is an integral part. We think, I am this. And now you're slowly becoming aware. This is a very beautiful way that Buddha has brought in. So on the one hand, you're non-reactive awareness, non-judgmental. And the other hand, you're also, it's a hindrance to what is coming up in the mind. Are you with me? So, whatever, whether it is lust or it is aversion, or let's say it's a laziness or restlessness or anxiety, whatever is happening, you are kind of now analytically realizing this is what is happening. And this is who you are. Mind you, that the moment you go to analysis, it is your mind is coming into function. Whereas awareness has no such judgment. Awareness is like the sunlight. Sunlight falling on dirty puddle on the road. it doesn't get dirty. Falls on pitcher of wine, if you remember the famous example, it doesn't get drunk. It's falling on holy river Ganga, it doesn't become holy. So it is neither affected, and your awareness is like that. But still here, Buddha is bringing it in, and Vedanta also, for you to discriminate and remove that wall and bringing in understanding. And this is in the Vedanta, this particular part in Vedanta is called Vichara. You are doing analysis. The extra teaching analytical component is coming in. So, the mindfulness combined with the awareness is in the first place we talked about. In the second place, you are going ahead and finding out how has it risen in my mind. That sensual feeling, that anger. Now you're becoming, now observing, witnessing that, becoming aware. How has it come out? And it is a kind of a reasoning, a logic is coming in, kind of, it's the part mind function which is getting illuminated by the awareness. And finally, how a future is coming up, arising of this sensual desire can be removed, can be prevented, and where you're coming in now, you're totally a witness, you're an observer, and you're not getting affected with that function of the mind or the body, whatever is coming in. And the best technique is the prevention of it to come. Why? How do you do that prevention? You just know it, which is called awareness, which is going in from now. The experiences and learn from our mistakes. That is, what is happening is Buddha here is encouraging us to combine the non-judgmental awareness, is to combine it along with a certain kind of analysis, a deep spiritual analysis, which is in a modern physiology, in the psychology you call it etiology. Okay, this is what Buddha is doing at that time. Now Patana Sutra by Bhikkhu Analaya, he is referring to specifically to a very deep study was done in 1975 in the Western world, and he's referring to it that a young male, 23 years of age, he got into a very bad drinking, drugs, anger, and he used to get very violent. So people sent him for rehabilitation center. He was sent into the rehabilitation, and there he didn't know. He was just told, whenever you get a feeling, let's say you're feeling like drinking, just write it down. My mind is feeling like drinking. Suppose you feel very angry, just write it down. My mind is feeling angry. You're labeling it. What feelings are coming? Now what is it? Notice what we were doing till now. We talked about Buddhism, talking about observing it, right? And he says he knows, Buddha is saying, he knows that I am feeling depressed. He is aware, I'm not feeling depressed. So here what is he doing? He's writing it down. And let's say he feels like having drugs and he wants drugs. He says, my mind is wanting drugs. You know what happened? You'd be surprised. It was a record-breaking research. In 8 weeks' time, he was totally cured. And thereafter, the Western world started to treat it more, and it was a pure Buddhist way of doing what they'd done. Only thing, the patient didn't know that he's following Buddhism. This is a Buddhist way of identifying yourself and how to get out of this negativity. So this research, which Bhikkhu Analaya is referring, of 1975, and he claims without telling him that he's gonna teach him a Buddhist mindfulness technique, and they just said that whenever thought of aggression, exact written down of the research work, whenever a thought of aggression or a thought of desire to drink alcohol arises in your mind, just label it and name it, and just say, a thought of desire has come into my mind. And within 8 weeks, he was cured. Just following this principle. So, he was not only cured, he became subsequently a follower of that same principle in his rest of his life, and he became a walking Buddhist monk. Now, in 2018, there was another meta study of 37 characters were brought in, and in that mindfulness, where 3,000 participants participated in the Western world, and they looked at it mindfulness-based approaches to substance called abuse, abusive language, abuses to human being, abuses to womankind, children, and they did that study. And they, in the research, they found it was very successful and helped a lot to see that this whole thing became a great helpful technique, and the same Buddhist principles were followed. Okay? Now, some of these are important for us to know it, in which this we are talking about. Now, from Buddhism we are going into, these are 3 books written by what Paramahamsa Ramakrishna talked about in the Gospels of Ramakrishna. Okay? Now, this is written by one of the president of Ramakrishna Mission, and before that is this Nikhilananda. This is also another Gospels of Ramakrishna. This is in 2 volumes, this is in 3 volumes, and strangely, Paramahamsa Ramakrishna is also talking about mindfulness meditation and mindfulness awareness, and each one of them are labeled there as they're talking about it. And this is what has amazed me, that we must share with it. Some of them is getting little technical, little maybe details for bring you little stagnation and boredom. Don't let it come in, just be aware. Okay? Now, the Vedantic mindfulness helps itself to all of these benefits of the Buddhist mindfulness, and then adds a few dimensions, which they have been doing it way before Buddha came in. But now they are adding it in, and this is called mindfulness with a twist, of a Vedantist twist. That's what we are covering. So Gospels of Sri Ramakrishna is also giving various lofty ideas, and this is absolutely spiritual and philosophical. Teachings on every page, literally. Those of you have ever read it, even if you haven't, start. If you like to, it's like a story format. It's a beautiful reading. Have you read? Okay. The second kind is teachings on spiritual practices, extremely practical teachings over here about that need to engage in prayer and reasoning between the real and the unreal, the permanent and the impermanent. Meaning, it tells you, look, this is not real, and it tells you this is not permanent, and tells you this is permanent. You become aware now. You're becoming aware. And notice, what do we pray when we start? Asato ma sadgamaya and tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, telling us what? Mother, take us from unreal to real, asat to sat, and tamas, which is darkness of ignorance, to the light of the wisdom. And what happens when you do that? You go death to immortality. Mrityurma amritam gamaya. And notice, this is what is the practical teaching. Need to engage in prayers, reasoning between the real and the unreal, and permanent and the impermanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, I'm referring to various books, okay? In the Bhagavad Gita also it is there. And At the end of every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when you are reciting it in Sanskrit, you will find there is what is called, they call it a sephophone. It's a kind of a philosophical term. It's a mentioning of this in the Bhagavad Gita. In the every chapter described in as, let's say, Brahma Vidyam Yoga Shastra, which means Bhagavad Gita teaches the science of Brahman. Brahma Vidya, knowledge of Brahman. Who is Brahman? You are. And this is what is through which I'm touching upon. These are very nice, technical, analytical. At the same time, tremendous awareness is coming into your mind. Oh wow, I didn't know this. We've been talking about mindfulness as a good meditation. We've been practicing it. We didn't know that we were practicing an Advaita Vedanta meditation, which is by the Mandakya Upanishad, is also from the mindfulness. And mindfulness has also come up. Buddha has discovered it on his own. But this was what? It was always there. And he discovered, like forces of gravity. Right? Isaac Newton discovered it. Does it mean that before that it was not there? It was there. Let's say discovery of light, or discovery of magnetism, or let's say Eureka, the buoyancy. Every one of them, truth was always there. Only thing, so what did Isaac Newton do? He saw an apple fall. What was that? It was a suggestion to him. It was like a trigger. And he started wondering, why did it come down? Why didn't it go up? And he kept thinking. And just think of it, millions have seen that apple fall before him. Nobody thought of it. Notice here, Buddha had everything. He was that time even were forbidden to go down and go outside the palace because there is suffering. And he was told that, look, that is his father, Suddhadan, was told, king, that if Buddha goes and sees suffering people, then he is going to leave your kingdom. And if he doesn't, then he is going to make the best king you have ever had in India, Bharat. And Buddha, when he was married, he had Rahul as his son, and 1 year old. So now king said, now he is okay, settled down, let him go for a little ride. And the Sarathi takes him out, and you remember he saw 4 sights, and he asked, why? Sarathi couldn't explain. He came back, and he kept asking people. Nobody could answer him. Just overnight, he left everything, and he suffered intensely. When he came back after awakening and getting, his wife asked him, couldn't you have attained that being in the palace? A very good question from a wife. He said, now I know I could have. Then I did not know. That is one. 2, wife asked him, what are you giving to your son, Rahul, as a gift? Then he was 15, 16 years of age. Buddha said, I give him sannyas. And he gave his own anchal and gave him monkhood. And notice, his father, his mother, his wife, and his son, everybody became a bhikshu with him. Can you imagine? It is like this awareness, Krishna. He was so charming. Wherever he went, the great kings, great queen, great people around, everybody would listen to him. And with that charm, it's called Krishna consciousness, which is your consciousness. You've heard these terms, which is awareness. He said, what? I'm not participating in the war. I will witness. What are we doing, you and I? You say, me, Krishna, yeah. Yes, it is. That there, Vivekananda is saying, Jesus Christ is saying, Vivekananda is writing it down. It is not the birthright of Buddha, Jesus Christ, or Vivekananda to be Vivekananda, Jesus Christ, or Buddha. It is your right too. Because all you have to do is become aware. And now, see this mindfulness and mindfulness with the Vedantist twist is taking you to that, called the realization. So, every chapter is talking about Brahma Vidyam Yoga Shastri, which means the Bhagavad Gita teaches the science of Brahman, Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of the Brahman, highest spiritual and philosophical teachings about the ultimate reality. Also, it is talking about in the Yoga Shastra, that is Patanjali Yoga Shastra, he is talking about the same spiritual manual. Now, Vedantic mindfulness, based on the idea that all our suffering stems from what? Not realizing who we really are. What is it suffering? You recollect our earlier discussion. Because we align ourselves, because I am this body, I am this mind. I am a girl, I am a boy. I am a man, I am a woman. I am playing this role. I have this financial stress. I don't have this financial stress. Is mommy understanding some of it? Little?
Yes, sir.
कुछ?
Yes, yes.
समझ आ रहे?
Yes, sir.
ओके. अगर बाद में चाहे आप पूछ सकते हो. सही? अभी भी जरूरत पड़े रोक के पूछ सकते. So now, this is called the identity crisis. We don't know who we are. And this is what Shankaracharya is telling everybody. Mano buddhi chitta ahankar. Ramanuja, 300 years afterward, came down and said, no, Shankara, you're wrong. You cannot be that everybody's got one spirit. I am different spirit, you are different spirit. Each one has got different spirit. But Vishnu is the creator of this universe, and this whole universe is what? Is his body. This is what Ramanujam is saying. But that is also Suddha Vishishta Advaita. That is also Advaita Vedanta. But it is Suddha Vishishta. It has got duality. Advaita by Shankaracharya is Advaita, non-dual, only one. Now the Vedanta is telling us that you're not the body, you're not the mind. And how do we now get into this eternal divine self, which is called Atman in Sanskrit and Atta in Pali, as per the Vedanta, as per the Pali language by Buddhism. Ever pure, ever perfect, ever free, one with God. We are. It's like the light falling on the dirty thing, falling on the holy river, falling on some pitcher of wine. The light is ever free, ever pure. Have you realized this light is illuminating all of us? When you go away, the light is not going away with you. The light stays here. When we die, as per Vedanta, our body is buried or burned, right? Our mind, it holds on to, it makes a little bubble. Body is burned, gone away. Mind makes a little bubble like a balloon, and it goes ahead and first rests for a while depending on your karma. Totally peaceful. And then it, as per your karma and desire at the time of your death, you seek a parent. Maybe the parents have not been even married, but you decide, this is the mother and the father who I am going to be. And then, because of him, mother and father get married also. This soul makes, kind of organizes the whole thing. So each one of us is that infinite self, which is otherwise in the small, in the body and the mind, there is no happiness, there is no peace. But in the finite, in the moment I finite myself with the body, I limit myself. What is limiting? Another name for limiting, we talked about it, is samsara, this life. This world of ours is samsara. What is samsara? The moment you put yourself with a mind and you give yourself a name, you get into samsara. The moment you are beyond the mind and you're aware, you say, yes, I have a body and a mind. So what's the difference between the great enlightened master, Jesus Christ, Paramahansa, Vivekananda, Mother Teresa? or Ramana Maharshi or great masters of all religions. What's the difference? They don't align themselves with what is happening around. It is happening around. They are not running away to the mountain Himalaya and stay there. Nicaragua Swami, you remember, I am that. He was leaving Dharavi. He said, now I am a Brahman, I am going to Himalaya. And as he gone for a while, suddenly he realized, why do I have to go to Himalaya? I am Brahman in Dharavi, why can't I stay on Dharavi? Any of you visited his place? No. It's a very small room, very peaceful. I haven't visited, but two of our devotees had gone. You remember? Totan and Raja had gone down there. I told them they went down there, they meditated there for a while. So there is absolute bliss in infinite. Infinite without any dimension. The dimension comes in the moment you give yourself a body and the name. And that infinite is you and I. And we are not aligning with that self. And we are aligning continuously with this finite body, finite mind. Each one of us is an infinite self. We don't know it. And because we don't know it, we are suffering. So other schools of Vedanta, I talked to you about Ramanuja just now. Ramanuja says, I disagree with Shankara. He is saying, Shankara, I disagree with you. And he says there is only, you say there is only one self. How can it be? He says that I am separate from you and each one of us is separate individual self. Why is it that it's so important for same point of mindfulness? Because the point is here, why is it important I'm bringing in this point in the talking about mindfulness? Because the moment we realize that we are an eternal self, separate from the body and the mind, you and I become complete. So remember that which we keep chanting here, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiva Vashishyate. I take away a little water from this glass. This glass has less water and that water is separate. It has got different existence, that water is different existence, right? Originally it was same, one water, but I've taken it away. But when you take Purnam, away from that Purnam, Purnam from Purnam remains Purnam. It is not separate. It has got the same identity. Purnameva Vashishyate. It remains. This is the power of your understanding now, your awareness. So how do I utilize it in real life? At the end of your meditation prayer, when you're sitting still, before you get up, chant it once and just let it feel. Imagine that you have this beautiful, infinite blue sky in which lots of clouds of different colors and shapes are there. Those are your minds and thoughts and feelings and etc. and the incidents and anecdotal things which are happening. But I am the blue sky. Clouds have come, clouds will go. Tell me one person that you know, starting with yourself, when any one of your thought comes and it is not gone away. Have you realized? Your thought will go away. And that is why the very famous principle of meditation, let it come, let it be, let it stay, and let it go. So don't try to say, no, I've got funny thoughts, dirty thoughts coming, and Vivekananda is talking about in Raja Yoga book. I'll refer to it. And why is that important for this? Is so that you continue to understand, I am free from suffering, I am free from happiness. I am in bliss and ananda, joy always. The moment I align myself with the body and the mind, nama rupa bhavahara, I invite myself in samsara. And what is Krishna telling Arjuna? Samsara duksha sarvasara. It is filled with suffering. Now, according to Ramanuja, he says, to really feel love for God, genuine devotion, bhakti for God, you have to first realize yourself as an eternal soul, before you get the bliss, you have to realize that I am that eternal soul. Aham Brahmasmi. You have to realize that. Then only you will get true devotion, true bhakti for God, for Krishna, for Jesus, or whatever form you're worshipping. And he says, this eternal individual soul, separate from itself with the body-mind complex, it is separate, but we don't realize it. When you realize it, you are separate. Now, whatever things are happening, you are a drashta. You are a witness now. And many of you were asking last week also, we covered it, that why is it that I am not? It happened because we have not become, what Ramanujan was saying just same thing, totally detached. In other words, impurities in our mind. The impurities in our mind. How do we become pure now? It's the journey which is mindfulness talking about, and it's the journey also by certain, paradigm shift is the, I want to be there like that. Everybody wants to be. Ethical manifestation is purity. No telling lies, even in a joke. No picking fault with people, even in a joke. And those manifestation, ayama, niyama, asana, you know those things. So Ramanuja is saying, very simply, the precondition for free feeling the genuine devotion for God is breaking our identification with the body-mind complex, realizing that we are an eternal soul and eternal self. This is the Jivatma to Paramatma. Remember now, align yourself with what we talked about last week, and again we say, Hanumanji is talking. Rama, who is Rama? Like Krishna, avatar. He is the consciousness, Rama. And Rama asking Hanuman, what do you think of me? Who am I to you? He says what? Deha buddhaya dasoham. When I look at myself as a body, I am your servant. Jiva buddhaya. When I think about myself, sentient being with a name, form and function. Tadam sakha. I am your part. I am a wave, you are an ocean. And Atma buddhaya. When I look at myself as spirit, Tvameva aham. You and I are not separate. And this feeling is what Ramanujam is talking about. And this, once you feel, then your inner feeling, inner devotion comes in. Now, imagine the wave and the ocean. Think for a second. Are you all with me? What effort does the wave have to do to become water? No effort at all. It is water. What effort do you and I have to do? Which mindfulness, which Vedantic understanding to know who you really are? No effort. So what is it then? Know it. Awareness. And this is why these sessions are. So that your awareness will keep changing, keep uplifting, keep becoming purer and purer. And it is like somebody tells you, let's say, you're smiling. Daisy ma'am is always smiling. So somebody says, your smile is all fraud. What will Daisy ma'am do? She will smile again. She says, okay, maybe. Does it take away her smile? No. So this is called awareness. Poor guy doesn't know. Somebody uses a foul language with you. Somebody ill-treats you. You don't have to give slap for a slap, eye for an eye. You just be compassionate. And yes, certainly, it doesn't mean that if somebody is taking you for a ride and you don't do anything. So, somebody asked Vivekananda, if a strong man comes and starts bullying me and beating me up, what should I do? Vivekananda says, thrash him out. Now, how do you thrash up a big, giant guy? You will be surprised. You will have some energy from somewhere. You may be a small structure. Look at crude example and yet beautiful example. Shivaji. Shivaji was only 4 feet 10 inches tall, fully grown, became a world leader. Correct? So now, waves don't have to do anything to become the water. It is water. But notice something. The water doesn't have to do anything to become wave or become ocean. Are you with me? What does water has to do to become wave or the ocean or be the dirty bottle? It is an essential ingredient. Water has to do what? Become aware. The wave has to do what? Is become aware. Water has to do what? It is everywhere. It is in everything. What does your consciousness has to do to align yourself? Nothing, because it is always there. It is unaffected, untouched by anything which is happening. It is not affected. Consciousness is not touched. But that is who you and I are. Once we realize that, then you will find water is separate. If I take away water from the ocean, doesn't exist. If I take away water from the waves don't exist. But the water itself chooses to become like you, like me, and all of us today. And this consciousness, as per Vedanta, is the creation of this entire universe, and as per Taittiriya Upanishad, is Ishvara, is God. You say no, God is everywhere. How everywhere? Some youngster will ask you, okay, show me God in this cup of glass. Yes, you can show. And you can, most people will say, that is very difficult. When you grow up, then you will understand. Some vague talk like that. So we have been told by our Pandits, when will I see God? When you die. When you go to heaven. No? That means God is up there and I am down here. I am too small, God is too powerful. This is called theistic religion. Theistic. Theism. God is in the mosque, in the temple, in the church, in the Gurdwara. And I am down here, I am small, I am fragile, I am open to all kind of sickness, disease, etc. This is what is the journey that you and I have to understand. What does the ornament has to do to become gold? It is gold. You take a small ornament, or you take a big ornament, or you take a paije, or you take a tiara, or a necklace, everything is gold, gold alone. The main suffering and the misery is because we align ourselves with the body and the mind and not with our true self. So how do we align ourselves? By doing what? Tell me, somebody? What do you have to do that?
Become aware. Become aware.
Become aware. Thank you. Just know it. And this is what is called the beauty about, and soon we are going to come about it, the difference between the Vedantic process and the mindfulness. Is the Vedantic process talking about, and I will tell you the differences. And so what is the Vedantic mindfulness according to the Bhagavad Gita? Number one, I talked to you about what is as per mindfulness, as per Buddha, mindfulness. Meaning of mindful is awareness, is consciousness. Okay. Now, what is Vedantic explanation of mindfulness? Number one is Prakriti, is the nature. Whatever is happening to you and I, in your mind, in your body, it is the nature which is making it happen. And what is the expression of that? Are the three gunas. Gunas have been actually expressed as in the translation. Guna is a Sanskrit word. You all have heard it, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. You all have heard about it, and they call it, these are qualities of the mind. It is not quality, because that is one translation. But the most of the monks, including Paramahamsa Yogananda, I was reading his Bhagavad Gita, that Sattva, Rajas and Tamas gunas, those gunas are nothing else but the function of the Prakriti to you. What do they mean? So basically, Sattva energy is pronouncing to yourself naturally detached. I am not. I'm not part of this. Most of the people who become a monk or early in life lead like a monk, though in the family in the samsara, they are detached. They don't get affected by other people, but they're getting affected. And you see, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you reacting? Sometimes you say that, no? You're still laughing. Because they naturally have sattva quality, naturally detached from all the temptations and attachment that otherwise human beings reflect and react. Rajas is generally, it is called preponderance. Preponderance meaning you are always wanting action, action, action. Okay, I love to do this. I cannot sit still. I have to keep moving here and there, and I have to do something. I feel like doing something. Let's go out to Phoenix Mall. Let's go out and have some, the being where you are and being peaceful is not there. I have to go. I have to do something. And this brings also restlessness with the rajas. And tamasic is the darkness. Take us from darkness to light. Light is that awareness of sattva. And what is tamasic? Desire, craving, laziness. Your intellect, your mind, your body all put together attended a workshop, Vipassana workshop, and said, I'm going to get up from 3 o'clock from tomorrow. And as you're supposed to be 3 o'clock comes and the ring bell, your mind is telling, come on, you made a promise, come on, get up. Body is saying, you haven't asked me. That is your decision. You go ahead, you want to do it, go. And who wins? Body always wins. Why? Body is like an elephant. And mind is like a mahout sitting on top of it. Imagine a wild elephant. You get the wild elephant. And if the mahout is trying to ride the elephant, he'll be trampled. Mind will smother that body, no? So now what happened? What do? You see, the wild elephant has been tamed, no? How? Training. This is what we do. Sunday from so-and-so time to so-and-so time. Every day morning, so-and-so time to so-and-so time. Every day evening, so-and-so time. Sit for a while. Be still. Be silent. Now what happens is, why I tell the student, you should do that. Because if you do that, what happens is, your mind becomes aware of your consciousness, which has got infinite power. Your intellect is not. Intellect is the function of the mind, which you've got prarabdha, you've got it before, and you cannot change it by something like learning through ChatGPT. You can keep on putting data into your intellect, into your memory and things like that. But you've got something with you, you can change it to a better and finer. So study, education, and those who have not been to the college like our maids and servants and all that, they stay at a different. But your consciousness is always pure, always. Now what happens with a student when I tell them? To make them aware. Why do I say? Said, champion, are you a boy or a girl? Said, I am a girl, I'm a boy. I said, very nice. So, how do you know that? I just know it. That I just know it. How come I don't know that I am the bliss and the peace itself? And when that knowingness comes in, as you keep practicing, training. Otherwise, if the elephant wants to go to the right to eat the banana from the banana grove, mouth wants him to go to the temple. The elephant doesn't want to go. This is the mind and the body and the tongue which is happening, which is what we are talking about. Rajas, tamas. So chapter 4 verse 19 from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is telling to Arjuna techniques of Vedanta meditation, mindfulness. He's talking about Nanayan Gune Bhaya Kartaram Yada. Don't worry about the Sanskrit, I'll just read it out and I'll give you the translation. Drashtana Pashyate Ganehana Param Varti Madashade. He's talking about, so this Dhigachati, Digachati meaning is talking about when the seer perceives, the seer, the witness, it perceives the creation of the gunas. Prakriti is the one who is creating these gunas in our mind, right? And remember what is Bhagavad Gita is talking about is Prakriti and Purusha. We are who? Truly we have got Prakriti and Purusha, but we are our Purusha. Prakriti is the mother nature. And he's talking about the gunas and doing everything and know that which is supreme beyond the gunas is who I am. You understand the twist now? In the Bhagavad Gita, it's saying you are trying to calm down your mind by mindfulness meditation, become aware of your breath. But here you're doing that. Along with that, you know that these feelings which is coming to me, lust, anger, jealousy, greed, small-mindedness, pettiness, body feeling, hunger, they're all of the Prakriti. I am not that. This is the Bhagavad Gita twist it's giving. I am the supreme nature, awareness. Those of you who attended, you notice here he's saying, the seer perceives the creation, that the gunas, and doing everything and knows that which is supreme beyond the gunas. That person attains may divine nature, nature of Supreme Lord, God, Bhagavan, may be totally dynamically different. Now think for a second. In the Buddhism, correct me if you have heard wrong, okay? There is no God. There is no Atman. Are you with me? Did you all get that message? And that here is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita, what happens now? In addition to your yogic practices, you're aligning yourself with, let's say, bhakta. I don't know, I'm very restless. I don't know how to control this with the mindful exercise. God, Divine Mother, please help me. You're now aligning yourself with the Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga. Each one of these yogas, you're taking it to help yourself. So this is the difference which is coming in over here, the first one. So, the first makes a dynamic like a graffiti. And instead of identifying yourself with a label that belonging to the Prakriti and the three gunas, identifying yourself, you are knowing it now. In addition to the practice, you are also becoming aware. So identify with the, what is Krishna saying? Instead of freaking out by saying, I am not sattvic enough, I have to become more sattvic, I am beating myself and trying to do everything, but it is not happening, like the devotee was saying, Mother, nothing is happening. I am doing it every day. Take a step back, is what Krishna is saying. Take a step back and look at the workings of the Prakriti through the three gunas. You are neither sattvic, neither rajasic, neither tamasic. Though sattvic guna is better, but example of the story, Paramahansa Ramakrishna said, a guy, traveler with a lot of wealth, is traveling through the forest. And those days, there were lots of dacoits all around. So 3 dacoits come and catch him and beat him up and take all his belongings. And now what they do? They tie him. Now, Sattvic Guna guy, Rajasic Guna guy, these 3 guys are the example. And Tamasic Guna guy tells the Rajasic and Sattvic, let's kill him. Otherwise he will go and tell the police and they will catch me. Rajasic Guna guy says, no, why do you want to kill him? It's okay, just tie him up. Tie him up, he'll be okay. By the time we'll gone far away. And they tie him up and gone. Sattvic Guna guy comes after a while and says, I know, you're an innocent guy. Let me remove your robe and I will take you to your home. And he takes him to the road and he says, there is your home. You go there. Which is that home? Is the Brahman, is the Atman. You go there. So the traveler says, please come with me. My wife, my children, they would love to take care of you. You freed me. Sattvic Guna says, no, I cannot go. So what is it? Imagine the awareness is aware of Sattvic Guna, Rajasic and Tamasic, but not. This is the story saying that the gold chain or silver chain, gold chain is Sattvic, silver chain is Rajasic, and iron chain is Tamasic. All chain binds you equally well. So that is why he's saying that you have to go beyond all the true gunas, is the Bhagavad Gita is talking about it now. That is the practice of Vedanta in mindfulness, in which identified with the drashta, the seer, be the detached witness of what is happening at the level of the body and the mind. Be a witness of what is happening in the body and the mind. You become detached. As we practice in the meditation, you'll find it's very nice and very exhilarating. So, verse 22 to 23 in chapter 14. He says, Prakshanam cha pravittim cha. He goes on to Sanskrit. I will just explain to you. O Pandava, the person who has transcended the three gunas, three energies, they realize their true soul, the spirit within. And the illuminated being is the person who is not affected by whatever arises in the mind. Illuminating activity, ignorant, nor deplored, nor absently. What is happening? You become aware through these practices. There is something called, this monkey was talking about consciousness. What is this awareness? There is something which is within me. You and I are utilizing it. Remember the washerman and the diamond? They are all using that diamond. We are all using it. For what? Washing, scrubbing clothes. That diamond is with you and me. What are we using it for? Loving, hitting, tasting, touching, enjoying, having fun, eating, sleeping. Without consciousness, you cannot do anything. You cannot learn anything, you cannot have fun, you cannot do anything. We are utilizing the diamond, and here is Sanskrit verse 22 to 23. Krishna is telling, O Pandava, once you align yourself and know that the Prakriti is creating the gunas, but you are the Purusha. You are the drashta, you are the seer, you are the witness. You are witnessing. Then you will be away from it. And this, a beautiful example which Vivekananda is talking about, I think we'll be able to cover it. The person is not troubled at all. When the mind is turbulent and deluded, he is not deluded and turbulent. You say, do you mind? My finger is burnt, my finger is paining. Yes, it is paining. What is realizing the pain? The senses and the mind. But you are saying, I'm not that pain. Yes, the body is feeling the pain, mind is feeling the pain. I can feel it, I can understand it because of consciousness only. If you're injected, you don't feel that you are being cut. The consciousness alone is helping the mind, but consciousness also is conscious that it is only the mind and the body. What happens? Slowly, the separation between the oil and the water takes place. Are you with me? The water and the oil. And slowly you align yourself, and let's say Paramahamsa Yogananda, he was building incinerator and a beautiful lake shrine, beautiful near the ocean, and a stone fell on his leg. He was trying to lift it by himself. He was very strong. It fell and it broke his leg. He was bedridden for a while. But does it mean that he has attached himself to the body and said, oh God, why did you have to break my leg? No. Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. Imagine, realized master, absolute Paramahamsa. He's called Avatar, like Krishna, like Rama. He says, he who is Rama, he who is Krishna is Ramakrishna. This is what is very famous saying. And yet, he chose to die out of, that cancer of the throat. So, Hari Maharaj comes 3 days to go before Ramakrishna to leave his body. Comes and says, Thakur, how are you feeling? This is in Kashipur. Kashipur is a place little away from Calcutta. Beautiful garden, we've been to, Sharada and I have been there. And he said, Thakur, how are you feeling today? Early in the morning. And he tells Hari Maharaj. Later on he became Turiya Maharaj, a great Vedantist. He says, Ramakrishna says, throat is paining, can't eat anything. Whatever I try to eat, it is falling off. Generally speaking, you and I feel very sad and say, oh, we don't know what to do, what can I do, something like that they will say. Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, once he said that, Hari Maharaj is saying, but Thakur, you are in divine bliss. As if you are not affected, you are in joy, you are in Ananda. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, just imagine 3 days before his death, he should be saying something like, you rascal, what do you know about my pain? He should say something like that, no? Instead of that, he says, rascal has caught me. Who is that me? Me is that Brahman, which he is the real I. He knows this body is not me, I have got to leave the body anyway. I am going to leave. That is not me. This awareness called Jivan Mukta. While alive, you are attaining that state. And is it some theoretical pursuit? No. There are lots of people are doing it. Lots of people have done it. What stops you from you and I to taking the journey? What happens now? You got a headache, you got a back pain, you got something. But have you noticed when you are very busy with doing something, your mind gets busy, you tend to forget that pain. And you are overriding that with what? With your consciousness overriding the mind and the body. And he says, okay, I had a terrible, very bad accident. I just come down from absolute border area, war is on. And we were doing on the war in the fighter plane. And I was a senior most, so-called among the, they call it hot rods. Very real tough fighter pilot. I was supposed to have been senior most. And I was told by the flight commander, I was number 3. Number 2 is flight commander. Robert, you take this aircraft, go. It has finished its number of hours due for servicing and bring back. So I was in a frontal area. I'll tell you the place. It's just Avantipur, next to Srinagar, Kashmir and Pakistan border. So I flew down, I came down and I asked them, when will the aircraft be ready for me to fly back? I'm ready to fly back straight away. He said, sir, it will not be ready till tomorrow. Because some part from this particular aircraft, I have to put it to that aircraft. So I said, okay. So I went back, I wanted to start my car. I found the car as at a flat. I said, oh, no, I don't have so much of time. I'll repair the flat when I come back. I wanted to go to the scooter. Long time it was just lying. Scooter also had a tire flat. But it was only one tire, at the back tire. I said, okay, now, I am not very good at changing the wheels and all that. But I said, I'll do it. So I took out the wheel spanners and I'm doing it. And you know, this was the Bajaj scooter. It is silencer, it is touching your... So I was trying to do that with both the hand and the spanner slipped and it hit the silencer. It's got a very sharp edge and it pierced my hand. And the flesh actually flipped up and bleeding away to glory. So, now my problem, supposing you go and report sick, I will be put straight away, I can't fly. That means what? In the wartime, I am going ahead with this excuse that I am hurt. I can't do that. I am a different kind of a guy. So I said, you monkey, you can't do that. So what did I do? I went up. I can't even go to my room because they will immediately downgrade me. So I went up and I tied up bandage and kept my hand up, little bit of medical knowledge, whatever I had. Bleeding stopped, but it was paining like hell. And I, the pilot, we wear gloves. So I wore the gloves. Generally we wear it only after I sit in the cockpit. Here I wore it so that the next day when I had to fly, and I couldn't use my left hand. And left hand in the fighter flying is the throttle, is the main thing, most important thing. I was in a big dilemma. But I flew. I said, I can't chicken out. I am not going to stay here. I will go. And I went back. Flew down, landed, everything okay, no problem. Handed over the aircraft, and then I went in and reported. I needed, before I lose my hand, I went and got myself checked and operated, taken. They had to remove the skin and things like that. And Flight Commander said, "You monkey, you flew with this? You know you've done unauthorized act." I'm not allowed to, because supposing I had met with an accident, I would have written off an aircraft. I said, "Sir, this was my issue. I cannot possibly go down and say I'm sick. I cannot do that." So Flight Commander was very angry. Commanding officer, he said, "It's all right. It's okay. He's done it out of valor." So I was forgiven. But I'm trying to say that this is the anomaly of coming in, that don't let your body and the mind come into the play. There is something else much, much stronger than you and me, which is body is aging, mind is getting disturbed, changing continuously, body is changing. You are constant. Have you realized I? Has it changed when you were a baby to now I? You are now I. Darush is this I. What about that I when it will be when you will be 20 years old? Same I will be remaining. I is not changing. I is that consciousness. This is what is the Jivan Mukta, the Vedanta angle. Unlimited soul. Immediately identify with the bodily pain. Immediately with the, actually it is unlimited, but it identifies itself. Why? Because of the continuous brainwashing which has gone on from childhood, from you are bad, you are good, you're a nice boy, you're a bad boy, like that, and go to on. And depression, anxiety, whatever feelings come up in the mind, it comes in. And this is because of prarabdha karma. So you have to rise above the prarabdha karma also. So now he enjoys to be, or he or she, just watching the play. Whatever is happening, you don't have to run away from the samsara. Be in the samsara, play the same role, and apparently show that you are participating, but inside of the inside you're detached. It is, I am not part of it. And those gunas are the unfolding before him or her. In the next Sanskrit, Krishna is talking about Sanskrit sloka, Udasam Vada Asina Gunayar. I'm not going to read it out. He said, the same illuminated soul which has transcended the three gunas, energy, that person who stands for beyond the guna. Transcended is knowing it is not me, it is happening to this body and the mind, this body, and not me. Then he sees that whatever is happening in the level of the body and the mind is nothing but the workings of the prakriti, of the three guna and the three energies. That person stands apart, absolutely tranquil and unaffected. He is not affected at all. So, this is deep similarities between the Vedanta and the pure mindfulness of the Buddhism method. These are the similarities. And Krishna is saying that being non-judgmental, another wrinkle in the practice, he puts in one more touch into this, which is very fruitful for Vedantists for us to practice this. And what is it? He gives us a kind of a metaphysical anchor for our mindfulness practice. What is it? When we break our identification with the body and the mind complex, we identified ourselves with our own deep ourself. That Krishna, that Jesus, that God, that Rama is none other than within me, that Atman. This is what it is saying, Chidananda Rupoham Shivoham Shivoham. So this is all appearing to be a theoretical, like a technical thing. It is not, and they keep practicing, and this is what is Vedanta talking about, Bhagavad Gita talking about, and I talked to you about the Upanishads is talking about it, the same thing. So now, Samadrishti, you attain what? Samadrishti, equal-minded, even-minded. Even-minded to joy and happiness, even-minded to sorrow, So there is one guy goes from Delhi to Himalaya and goes and meets one Maharaj. Maharaj, I'm very sad, I'm very unhappy, I'm suffering like anything. Maharaj says, you are seeing your suffering, aren't you? He said, yes, that's why I've come. He said, you are not the sufferer, you are the witness to your suffering. You follow this process, practice for 6-7 days, come back to me, stay here only. So he stayed in the ashrama, he practiced. After 6 days, he said, Maharaj, Jai Ho, I'm so happy, I'm peaceful now, I understand, I am not at all. Maharaj said, you are not peaceful, you are not joyful, you are the witness to your joy and the peace. You understood now? So, there is another monk in the Himalayas, he says, let be whatever is, whichever place, let it be in the same place. Meaning what? जिसका चीज जहाँ है उसको उधर ही रहने दो. Meaning, if your mind is upset, let it stay with the mind. Why are you getting upset? Your body is paining, let your body be paining. Then the body is paining. Why are you aligning yourself with the body? This is what in the monks in the Himalaya are talking about it. So now, you might say, how can an illumined being feel sorrow? Sorrow or happiness, to him both are level and both are at the level of the mind. Illumined soul is completely unabashed. So, what is it called? Vedantic mindfulness practice is Tulya Priya Apriya. Meaning, Priya and Apriya. You know the meaning. Okay? Priya is what I like, Apriya is what I don't like. They're both same. This is same, no different. Means that the Vedantic mindfulness practice are completely indifferent to what are these strong likes and dislikes and completely unaffected with either. He says another, Tulya Ninadatma Samashti. Ninda meaning insult. Somebody insults you. You just smile. Or you may keep quiet, don't have to smile, they might get more irritated. Just keep quiet. So illuminated soul for him, it is not a practice, it is spontaneous, it happens naturally. Somebody criticizing, not criticizing, appreciating, same truth. Somebody is saying, you're the one. You say, no, it's not me. I am just Amazon.com delivery guy. I am just giving it to you what we have got it from today. So illumined soul for him, it is not a practice, it is spontaneous, automatically. Somebody criticizes something, somebody says, is it valid? Calmly, steadfastly looking at it. One should know this. Notice that this is Vedantic practices, knowing it. In addition to the practices, you are knowing it now. You are aware that I am that awareness, which is helping sure the mind. So, you might say, I'm grateful for the person who says that I am this. I need to look into it. Why is he saying? Why is she saying that? Maybe there is something I need to change it. So, you on the other hand, criticism becomes baseless, but it becomes an awareness for you to change. Shankara in the chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, he's saying, who are not illumined. And how is that helpful to us? That is, those who are not illumined. How is it still helpful with this kind of a process? He's saying, it is that there is Buddha, there is Jesus, there is Ramakrishna, who are all perfect souls. But what does it leave us? Where does it put you and me? So he said, first course is spontaneously to illumine soul is a practice for the rest of us. Did you understand that? Let me repeat it. What comes naturally for Jesus, Buddha, Paramahansa, Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi, Mahavir, Jain, Guru Nanak, that comes spontaneously to them. It is for you and me to practice with awareness. Knowing it, practice it. And then once you try these, same qualities which are natural to them will become yours, is the promise of the Vedanta. He's saying, actively in your spiritual lives on a day-to-day basis, then that idea would become yours. And he's saying, chapter 55, verse 55 in the chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita. I will not read it out. Krishna repeatedly uses that metaphor to describe, and he's saying that to slay, like a war field, he's talking to slay, is calling prajahati. When you slay all your desires, when you chop off all your desires, and that arises in your mind that you are an illuminated being, then it is not mindfulness, but it can be effective in certain circumstances, but being aware with mindfulness practice. That's the coming in. So you might be gaining those emotions, feelings, etc. Krishna is telling in another technique, which is in the verse 70, and he goes ahead and he's saying that person attains peace into him. All desires either in streams into or sea or small streams, meaning what? A huge ocean. All the small things are coming from the rivulet from everywhere, but it all comes to the ocean. Is ocean changing by the small streams or dirty nalas or whatever is coming into the ocean? Ocean is remaining the same. So same way you look at it. This is what Krishna is telling in verse 70. So take a step back from them and let them come. Just don't identify yourself with them. Yourself. And know who is this I. So giving to pass away is the nature of the three energies of the three gunas. Thought arises for a moment and it will pass away. Let it come, let it be, let it go. I'm covering a lot of intellectual stuff today, but it's very important for us to, and especially for those who like to know, that immortal Atman, completely separate from so-called mind and the body, and which is you. Anxiety, lust, anger come up. I am the infinite blue sky. Remember I started with this thought. I am the infinite blue sky. Over me, past those clouds of various colors, remain a moment and vanish. I am the same eternal blue sky. I am the witness, the same eternal witness of all. And you know who said this? Swami Vivekananda. He's saying it in Raja Yoga book. Now I'm bringing in the third book now, Raja Yoga. Bhagavad Gita, the Gospels of Ramakrishna and Raja Yoga. They all are talking about the mindfulness. Here, Swami Vivekananda is talking another. I will read it out, though I know it by heart, so that I don't make a mistake, because it is his words and very powerful. He's saying, it is like that monkey jumping about in your mind. Like we say our mind is like a monkey. It's jumping up and about. Have you realized one thing? Monkeys in the jungle, if you've ever seen, they don't climb one tree up and up and up. They climb the tree and they travel from one tree to the other on the same level. Marginal changes. They don't climb up the same tree, not going up and up and up. And this is called monkey business. Have you noticed what do the monkeys do? They're looking here, looking there, looking there, looking there, scratching here, scratching there, restless being. Vivekananda is saying that it is like the monkey jumping about. Let the monkey jump. Let the monkey jump as much as he can. You simply wait and watch. Knowledge is power. It says the proverb, and that it's true. Until you know what the mind is doing, you cannot control it. Let the mind be. Let it do. You're the witness. You're the watcher. You're watching. And he goes on to say something very nice. He says, you cannot control it. Until you know what the mind is doing, you cannot control it. Give it the rein, meaning horse's rein, let him go. And he says, many hideous thoughts will come to your mind, and you will be shocked to see, astonished that it was possible for you to even think of it. Such thoughts, but you will find that each day the mind's vagaries are becoming less and less violent, and then each day it is becoming calmer and calmer, and you're becoming purer and purer. We take ourselves too seriously, and then we get depressed that we are not making enough progress. So, in which the Vedanta is saying, have fun, enjoy whatever it is. Be joyful, be happy. Don't walk around with a serious face. I can't talk, I can't do this, I'm busy, I'm meditating, I'm reading, I'm studying. Just have fun. Watching what is coming up in the mind. Don't take it yourself so seriously, what comes up in the mind. But you be aware. And slowly, this is the Vedantic truth, and the great masters are saying, your mind will slowly subside like the elephant. It subsides. And then you will be able to retake yourself and see the spiritual progress. Key difference between Vedantic mindfulness and Buddhist mindfulness. Number one, in Buddhism, Daisy ma'am is saying, I was just reading for it. In Buddhism, anatma, which means no self. Okay? Whereas there is no underlying self in Buddhism, they say. Whereas don't tell you to identify yourself with your true nature in some eternal self, which Vedanta is doing, saying you are not this body mind, you are something else, and that else is within you. And the second advantage is that there is absolutely no incompatibility. You can practice any. So like we are practicing Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is what we are talking about now. Along with, we are also doing in the Kriya Yoga and Raja Yoga, we are doing the practices. Everything is okay. Everything is allowed. And there is a freedom in this. And this is what he's saying, incompatibility between mindfulness and devotion. What happens if you say, I can't, I'm so restless, Divine Mother, God, Shiva, Krishna, Lord, Allah, help me. And you are seeking the supreme nature is to come down and help me. So Vedanta practice mindfulness to your heart content. Never think that mindfulness is incompatible with the other yogas. They're all one. They're not separate. Though in the beginning, which we used to talk about Vedantic meditation of the Mandakya Upanishad over here practice, we did not really highlight this particular fact. In fact, it can actually help enhance your mindfulness practice. Those four yogas. So, both and the paradigm, rather than either or the paradigm. And paradigm is the way of doing it. Whichever one is okay. The practice mindfulness, or I am a devotee, or I am a karma yogi, or why not everything at once? And this is what you notice is the freedom that we do here. There is no limitation, not looking down on anything. It's just saying, yours is wrong, mine is good. No, all are one and the same. And it's a beautiful statement. Take anyone as your main practice, because Vivekananda is saying that it is not true. It is not true that you are a born Muslim, born Hindu, born Christian. He said each one has a different religion. No person is, this is Vivekananda's word, no person is born into a religion. Each person has an individualized religion in the depth of his or her soul. And we slowly align ourselves with that practice. And he says, every single one of us is its own, has a different religion in the depths of their soul. And there is a beauty of Vedanta. The first step, devotees discover what that unique religion that makes you feel comfortable. That you align yourself easily. If it is bhakti, go ahead and practice bhakti. If it is kriya yoga, go ahead and practice kriya yoga. If it is combination of bhakti and karma yoga, go ahead and practice karma yoga. And if it is a combination of all four, go ahead and practice all four. No limitation, no taboo. I managed to finish. we'll go for exercise and meditation.